When the girl was 9 years old, she heard a tapping sound on her bedroom window one night. She went to the window and saw a bird sitting outside. The bird was small, with brown feathers and a red breast. The girl opened the window, and the bird flew in. It landed on her bed and started pecking at her blanket. The girl was scared at first, but then she realized that the bird just wanted to be petted. And from that day on, the girl and the bird became best friends. Every night the bird would come to her room and tell her stories about the forest. It would describe the trees and plants and animals to her, and she would listen intently. She learned so much about nature from the bird, and it made her love the outdoors. One day the girl's parents took her to the forest. They were walking along a path when suddenly her father stopped. He had a surprised look on his face, and he told her mother, "I think our daughter has a special gift." The girl didn't know what her father was talking about, but soon she understood. As they walked deeper into the woods, she started hearing sounds all around her. She could hear the trees breathing, the leaves rustling, the birds singing, and the stream babbling. It was like the forest was alive, and she was part of it. She could feel the soft moss beneath her feet, the rough bark of the trees against her legs, and the gentle breeze on her face. She could see the sunlight filtering through the leaves, and the shadows dancing on the ground. She could smell the sweet flowers and the damp earth. She could hear the symphony of sounds all around her. As they continued their walk, she noticed something strange. All the trees seemed to be leaning towards her, and their branches were forming a natural arch over her head. She felt a sense of peace and connection with the forest that she had never felt before. When her father asked her what she heard, she closed her eyes and listened. She heard the wind whispering secrets to the trees, the leaves gossiping in the branches, the birds singing ancient songs, and the stream sharing stories of distant lands. She opened her eyes and looked around in wonder. She realized that the forest was not just a collection of trees and plants and animals, but a living, breathing entity with its own thoughts and feelings. She felt a deep sense of gratitude for being able to experience this, and knew that she would never forget it. From that day on, she became known as the girl who could hear the trees breathing. People from all over came to visit her and ask for her help in understanding the forest. She became an expert in nature and conservation, and spent her life protecting the environment and teaching others about it. And so, the tale of the girl who could hear the trees breathing was passed down through generations, reminding everyone who heard it of the importance of listening to the natural world around them. Once upon a time in a dense forest, there lived a young girl who had a unique ability. She could hear the trees breathing. Now, this wasn't something most people could do. In fact, the girl was the only one in her village who had this gift. Whenever she stepped into the woods, she would close her eyes and listen intently. She could hear the ancient oaks sighing, the weeping willows gossiping, and the sturdy maples humming in harmony. It was a secret language, a melody of nature that only she could understand. But one day while she was strolling through the forest, she noticed that the trees were unusually silent. Their leaves, which usually rustled merrily in the breeze, were eerily still, and the birds that normally filled the woods with their cheerful songs were strangely quiet. An unsettling hush had fallen over the forest, and it was troubling the girl. She sat down on a nearby tree stump and closed her eyes, trying to tune into the tree's hushed whispers. And that's when she heard it, a faint but clear voice. "Help us," it cried. "Our roots are drying up. The river's water is no longer nourishing us. We're thirsty." The girl's heart raced. She had never heard the trees speak to her in such a desperate tone. She knew she had to do something to help them. So without wasting a moment, she dashed out of the forest, her mind racing. She remembered an old legend from her childhood, a tale told by her grandmother about a magical spring deep within the woods. Its water, according to the story, had the power to heal and rejuvenate. If she could find this spring, it might save the thirsty trees. With newfound determination, she plunged back into the forest. Following a hunch and ignoring the scratches and scrapes that marked her path, suddenly, the familiar melody of the trees greeted her once more, now laced with a thread of hope. The girl smiled, knowing she was on the right track. Finally, she saw it, a small clearing bathed in a mystical glow. In the center sat a pool of water so clear it was like a mirror, reflecting the sky above. As she knelt beside the spring, cupping its cool water in her hands, she felt its healing energy surging through her. With renewed strength, she raced back to the village, the precious water in her makeshift container. The villagers, noticing her urgency, followed her to the forest, and when they saw the parched earth and heard the tree's desperate pleas, they understood the gravity of the situation. Together, they carried clay pots and wooden barrels back to the forest, filling them with the magical spring water. As the river's flow returned to its natural rhythm, the girl and the villagers celebrated. The trees, nourished and rejuvenated, rustled their leaves in gratitude, their ancient branches swaying in a joyous dance. And so the girl, who could hear the trees breathing, saved the entire forest. From that day on, she was known not only as the girl who understood the language of trees, but as their protector, forever bonded with the Whispering Woods.